I'd like to give you a little word of encouragement this morning on this wonderful Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers, grandmothers, godmothers, stepmothers, all of you. We love you. God bless you. That's not the topic of my sermon today, though, so allow me to get through that, and then we'll sing for you many years afterwards. Today, we remember the healing of the paralytic at the pools of Bethesda. This story is a great lesson for us on the relationship of trust, fear, power, and hope, especially when it comes to the context of healthcare. The pools of Bethesda were, through many different cultures and centuries, a place of healing. At the time of the Gospels, of course, it was a Jewish place of healing, but not long after that, in the time of Emperor Hadrian, it was turned into a pagan temple of Asclepius and Serapis, gods of medicine. It was a place where people would come because of the natural power of healing, which, of course, was viewed as a gift of God and the working of an angel. It was a place of healthcare, yes, but obviously in the ancient world, healthcare was very limited. There were only so many things that they knew, and there were only so many things that they could do. If you were a person of means, you were going to be in a better place. Quite literally in this case, if you were a person of means, you would have been able to afford to have somebody, if you couldn't do it yourself, get down into the water and make sure nobody else took advantage of the healing properties ahead of you. The paralytic in today's gospel is a man who clearly was not a man of much of any means, because he had been there 38 years, and in 38 years, he did not get any help getting down into the waters. You would think at least once in the 38 years, somebody might have been kind enough or good enough to help lift this poor man and bring him down into the waters. But he did not even have the ability to muster that kind of support. He was basically left on the side of the road, if you will, to look at the gospel of the Good Samaritan. He does not have privilege or power. He was utterly dependent on others, and it seems that he had come to despair in his situation. Like many in his day and even today, when in spite of incredible technological advancements in medicine, there are many who still go without life-changing and sometimes life-saving treatments, the paralytic suffers just out of reach, but still in sight of his cure. He no longer seems to have much hope. He sounds like that he even resents those who are healed in front of him. This morning, Sister Vasa posted a little meditation on this gospel in which she says, after 38 years of his crippling sickness, the man does not dare to want anything because the wants of other people have either ignored his or rendered his irrelevant. To be ignored is perhaps the worst part of being sick or disabled. To be deemed irrelevant to the wants, needs, and concerns of others. To be no longer treated as fully human, but rather as a nuisance to be managed. There may be no more crueler a prison in this life than a body which no longer works on its own, but more importantly, a society in which those who are in that condition are ignored. Thankfully, in most cases, our healthcare providers today do an extraordinary job of helping the sick. Many of us, we know, if we were to look at our lives and our history of illnesses and the infections we've had, many of us stand a pretty good chance that a couple hundred years ago, we would not have lived to the age that we're living. But because of the incredible care that we're giving today, the skill and the knowledge, we have a chance that others didn't have in the past. And so this can create in us a sense of admiration, which is well deserved for our doctors. But it can also lead to a form of idolatry. We see this often in these difficult situations in the hospital, where the sick person, and sometimes even more so their family members who are around them, who feel so helpless, for them the doctor becomes the face of God. And if the doctor is successful, all is well, God be praised. But if they fail, it is as if God himself had abandoned them. We have put such an immense expectation and pressure on our healthcare providers. And if you know enough doctors, you know that there are some who have taken it upon themselves willingly. They like to play God, some of them, but many of them are very humble because they realize it's not them, but it is God, and it is the person figuring out how to heal themselves by living rightly, by doing the right things. And their surgery or their care or the medicine they give is just a tweak to help you get into the right direction. But because of this expectation, there is little room for failure. You're either all powerful or completely worthless. That's the expectation. And if we begin to put our trust in rulers of medicine, sons and daughters of men in white coats, in whom there is no salvation, that we expect to be able to raise the dead like St. Peter, well, then we're getting into some troubled waters. In the time of the pandemic, this has become even more acute as doctors are divinized one day and then vilified the next. They are either to be believed without question as infallible experts, or they are to be dismissed, perhaps either as cranks or conspiracy theorists or corporate toadies out for their own advantage. This is because, again, as I said a couple of weeks ago, we have this insatiable need for certainty in uncertain times. Like Thomas, we want everything to be clear and spelled out for us. We want the sense of security that knowledge brings us. And if we don't have that knowledge, then we want that security in knowing that there is someone out there who does know, and we listen to them as if their words were gospel. In fact, it's too difficult and too frightening to consider, as Robert Frost once wrote, that the secret sits in the middle and knows, and that life is far more complicated than anything we can imagine. We want our scientists and doctors and researchers to be all-knowing, to be purely objective, to be unhindered by any kind of financial or political commitments or concerns. And we fear that they are the worst of perpetrators if they show any signs otherwise, any signs of compromise with the world. We want them to be unearthly angels, and if they fall even slightly, we send them straight to the devil. It's a lot easier for us to do that, isn't it, than to really take responsibility for our own well-being, especially when faced with problems that seem to be so far out of reach of our competence or ability to change. Let us take a deep breath, brothers and sisters. Let us realize that the experts that we look to are men and women just like us. They are dealing with extraordinary situations right now that are beyond anything that they have ever experienced. Even if they have studied and prepared for it their whole lives, there are aspects of this that you couldn't have expected or foreseen, or that they have prepared themselves for. The work of media, the work of politicians, the work of the public, the pressure happening on the ground level against lockdowns and things like that. There's a lot going on, and there's no one expert that knows everything about every dimension of this problem. Let us not expect them to be perfect and put upon them an undeserved faith or an undeserved suspicion if they disappoint us. Let us ask, rather, what you and I can do to stay healthy and to be truly well. Because in the end, that's what's going to matter the most, is what does it mean to be truly well? I talked a little bit about this last night. Jesus did not ask the man, do you not want to be sick anymore? He said, do you want to be made well? Wellness does not mean that we go without trouble or that we go without ever being sick again or being weak again. It is completely possible that many of us will come out of this pandemic period without having ever gotten sick, but at the same time, we will be far from being well because of what has happened. The secret to wellness may be in the words that Jesus uttered to the man after he finally encountered him again the second time. He said, see, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. There are worse things than physical illness, brothers and sisters. There are worse things than illness. There are even worse things than death. There are worse things than the physical sickness and disability, because if you are surrounded by a community of people who love you, if you have the support of a loving family, if you have faith in a good and loving God, if you have a good understanding of who you are in relationship to all those people and to the world and to your life, then even severe sicknesses can be endured with not only patience, but even gratitude, and sometimes even joy in spite of the pain. We've seen this over and over again. But if we don't have those things that truly make us well, psychologically, socially, and spiritually, not just physically, then when even a simple sickness that should be curable, that we should be able to get over, we can endure that as a torture and a torment. And some of us will grow sicker instead of better. Not because of the illness itself, but because of what's going on inside of us, because we are fundamentally unwell in our whole human person. This is the kind of thing that we need to be concerned of. That's why Jesus warns us against sinning no more. Whatever happens in terms of physical illness or wellness right now will be secondary in the long run to what is happening to us psychologically, socially, and spiritually. We can come out of this experience strengthened. Maybe we got a good rest. Maybe we got a reprieve. Maybe we got to reevaluate our friendships and our relationships. We got to reconnect with people that we haven't talked to in a long time through things like Zoom and the telephones. Or maybe we sank deeper into our isolation. Maybe we just indulged all kinds of creature comforts to try to make us feel better. And as a result, we drew farther and farther away from God and our neighbor. Maybe we didn't use this opportunity to reevaluate the value of our life, and maybe we just doubled down on death and despair. It's real easy to do in this day and age. There's a lot of people struggling out there. There's a lot of people suffering out there. There's a lot of people looking for release and relief from what's going on. And we have to take these things seriously, because hurting people hurt other people. I've said this before, you've heard it before. There's a lot of hurt that can happen because people are not being tended to in the parts of them that are unwell, even though they might be physically healthy. So, brothers and sisters, take a look at what you can do to help the person out there who might be not doing as well as you. And if you're not doing as well as you'd like to be, ask yourself what you can do to maybe reach out and not be so isolated. Remember, you're partly responsible for your own care. The church can help you, your community can help you, but you also have to communicate. We need to be able to talk to each other. We can't just sit there and wait, well, I'm not going to do anything until somebody comes to me. It's not a good strategy. Let's make sure that we're doing our best as a community to reach out to each other, to talk to each other, to hear from each other. But let's also not be afraid, if we're not feeling well, to reach out and ask for help. Even if it's just to say, I'm just tired. I'm just stir crazy. I'm just tired of talking to the same people or looking at the same walls. I just need to talk to somebody. That's fine. Soon, God willing, this is going to ease up. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, people start being able to go out a little more than they were before. And maybe by the end of the month, we'll be even able to have a small service in the church with a few people. It's going to take a while, though, to get back to whatever it is we want the new normal to be. I don't think the old normal was perfect. So we can choose now what it is we want it to be. And it all has to do with this question of, do you want to be made well? The question that Jesus asks every one of us on this Sunday. You've been given this incredible gift, the gift of the resurrection. Jesus has risen from the dead for you. That is the gift of eternal life to you. And it begins today in this life. This is the day of salvation. This is the day of resurrection. Let us be illumined. What do you want that to look like? What do you want that to be like? How do you want that to manifest in the lives of those around you because of your faith? This is the time to ask those questions and start making some decisions and start making some plans. That's what we'll be working on probably for the rest of this month at St. Mary's, starting to get things back into working order, but in a way, a better order than it was before. So I ask for your help. I ask for your trust within reason, with humble expectations, because I'm limited just like you are. And I ask for your forgiveness again as we go forward. And I hope that we as a community can grow and do better from these things, and find inspiration in this wonderful example you see of every Sunday, every Saturday, and sometimes during the week. We've had 10 or 11 or 12 or 13, 14, I think was our top people joining in on Zoom and singing and reading the service for you. And so many people on Zoom and on YouTube watching throughout the entire service and being a part of this. Um, let's continue that good spirit of support for one another. We need it. We need each other going forward. This is the way by which you will know that you are His disciples, that you love one another. So, brothers and sisters, that's all I have to say. Be careful. Be careful. You can wear a mask, but the masks that you wear on your face will not protect you from the viruses that come into your ears or through your eyes, the bad information. And they won't protect other people from the bad uh, bits of information that come out of your mouth through your words and your speech. And they certainly won't help you from the thoughts that you let bang around inside your head. Work on the wellness, the whole person wellness, and we'll get there. So may God bless you and keep you. Christ is risen. Truly, He is risen. Just a few announcements for you. First of all, we do have virtual coffee hour today for a couple different groups. The Zoom links and passwords for those are available in Realm in the notice that went out today. For those of you on YouTube that joined us, thank you very much for joining with us and being a part of it. Just to let you know what the schedule will be like for this week. We are celebrating the mid-feast of Pentecost. It means we're halfway to Pentecost already. And we'll serve a Vesper service Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for that. We'll have adult education Wednesday night at 7 p.m. With the second part of Great a Cloud of Witnesses, Sanctified Women in the Orthodox Tradition. Our topic this week, appropriately for Mother's Day, will be Holy Mothers and Holy Mothers. We'll look at some of the ways in which women have suffered for the faith and for the Lord throughout history and been incredible role models for us in that way. That doesn't sound very probably exciting when I put it that way, but I think you'll find it to be very hopefully uplifting. Then on Thursday night, I've been asked to join Father Cosmin and the faithful of St. Andrew's to give a little talk to them after their Thursday night service that they do. And I think that will be around 8:30 p.m. And the title will be Cradles, Converts, Retreads, Reverts, Experiencing Orthodoxy in America. And we'll get you the information for that in Realm soon as well. And then next Saturday, we'll have Vespers as usual at 5 p.m. and Sunday services the following day. If you would like to have confessions are available by phone, through FaceTime, or whatever app you would like me to use, I'll try to figure out it and make it work for you. And I'd be happy to hear your confessions. I usually hear them during weekdays in the middle of the day by appointment. So just let me know what works for you. Um, any other announcements? Nothing else. Okay.
Many years.
Oh, what's that? Oh yeah, in coffee hour. Yeah, we invite you if you're not going to one of the coffee hour rooms that you already know already. There is a general coffee hour room, a good place to kind of get to know the community a little better. So, Precious and Stephanie will be in charge of them. I will be working to join the young adults today, who I haven't seen. We have a very nice young adult group that have been meeting regularly, and I've been with the Sunday school, so I'm now done with them, so I can come and visit the young adults. Lastly, I haven't seen yet how we did in the month of April, and I have to hear from the treasurer. But I will. I'm sure I need to ask and to put out there that we appreciate your support. And if you are able to give this month, we really appreciate it. We do have online giving available to you. Go to stmaryorthodox.org, and I think it's /giving. You should go right to our giving page. There are three online ways of giving that you can do. That includes text to give. And then, of course, you can always send in a check to the parish address, to the mailbox in the old-fashioned way. Just realize that might take a few days to get processed more than normal. But we do appreciate any support that you can give. If you're unable to at this time because of a job loss or an interruption in your income stream, we absolutely understand, and we don't want you to worry about that. You take care of your four walls and your family, and we know that you'll be good and generous as always when you're able to again. If you are in need and having a difficult situation, please let us know. We have an email address set up to help with requests called Under Her Veil at stmaryorthodox.org. And we'll try to do our best. So, lastly, Father Deacon, if we could intone many years for all the mothers on Mother's Day, we'll be very happy. I'll sing for you.
A peaceful and prosperous life, health, salvation, furtherance in all blessed things. Grant, O Lord, unto your handmaidens, our mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, godmothers, all who have acted as mothers to us, and preserve them for many, many years.
God grant you many years, God grant you many years, God grant you many, many, many years. Lamut sancus sanitatis evidia Domino docedoris, zile senine și fericire, la mulți ani să trăiți, la mulți ani să trăiți. Christ is risen.
Truly is risen.
Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Good to see you all again. And I look forward to being with you in coffee hour shortly. Thanks, everybody. God bless.